And welcome everyone to this weekend's episode of Verse and Vibe. I'm Rachel Ann. We're here with Dean and Oteil, who need no introduction, especially if most of our friends have joined the broadcast.
He doesn't need an introduction. I need an introduction.
Should we let Dean introduce himself, Oteil, or should we do it?
Nobody. You should introduce me.
So Dean, everybody who doesn't know Dean is just a fantastic community leader and an excellent writer and a fantastic friend. And if you've never read his blog, he's one of the funniest people on the planet. And he's just a pleasure to know and a pleasure to be around. And he's one of my favorite deadheads. And we love you long time. So everyone,
how about that? That was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
That made me feel very special. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
I don't deserve
speaking of special, for those of you who have tuned into Verse and Vibe before, you know that we try to have some sort of concept behind each of the episodes, whether it's friendship or love or a specific time in history. So when I reached out to Dean, one of the things I thought would be fantastic was for Dean to pick one of his friends and do like a father episode. And I said, well, I love this friendship that you've established with Oteil, who has two beautiful kids who we might see during the broadcast. So they may pop in. Or not, but I thought it would be...
You'll hear them if you don't see them.
Like a wristwatch.
So I thought this would be the father episode, so to speak. And I love the friendship so today they've picked some poetry about Jerry and Robert that Dean actually wrote. He's an incredible writer. I don't know if you guys have seen his poems and the things that he has posted, but he's got a way with words, and Oteil, you have a way with vibes, so I think this is going to be a fantastic episode. So we're going to just give some people a chance to join the live broadcast. And how you guys do? You'll see behind us we have this awesome picture.
We're doing wonderful. We spent an enormous amount of time rehearsing for this. It's been a week full of rehearsals. And this should, just like a Swiss, this goes to show that practice makes perfect. This should be just like a Swiss watch.
or Swiss cheese.
We found out what we were doing. We both had it all wrong all week.
That's okay. There's no such thing as wrong in art, is there, Oteil?
That's right.
For every episode, you know that we pick a charity or an initiative for our virtual tip jar. And for this episode, Dean and Oteil would like the virtual tip jar to be supporting Positive Legacy and their new musicians fund. I will put the link in the Facebook feed. So if you enjoy this performance and you're so inclined, I know all of our resources have been a little disrupted from this, but if you have a little bit, everybody gives $1, $5 goes a long way to help support all of our friends and back of the house and people whose, lives have been really disrupted on the gigging side. So Positive Legacy, you can visit their website. I will put the link in the comments, and we'd appreciate any virtual tips that you would like to donate on behalf of this performance. So again, we'll give people a few more minutes to join the broadcast, and then Dean will tell us a little bit about his writing. So we're going to actually try something new. The platform that we use called StreamYard has upgraded some of their technologies, so hopefully we'll be able to have Oteil consistently underneath Dean. And just note, if you hear it, great. If not, you can put that in the comments, but we won't be able to adjust any of the settings during the broadcast. So we're trying something new, and we hope that you will enjoy it with us. And we're very excited for this special episode of Verse and Vibe. Before we get started with the performance, for those of you that have been here before, I think it's really important that we take what I call a moment of gratitude or a moment of light, where we will collectively take a deep breath and close our eyes and envision this big, beautiful light beaming inside of us that we send out to all of the healthcare workers and the doctors and the nurses and the frontline workers that are keeping things on our store shelves and putting themselves at harm's way to keep the rest of us as functioning as possible. So we'll get started with that in this moment. So if all of you at home wouldn't mind joining me for a second and closing your eyes. and picturing this big, beautiful white light building inside of you in your heart. Let it build, let it build, let it grow. And in a moment, we're all going to broadcast this big, beaming, beautiful white light out to the universe to everyone that needs a piece of it. In a moment of gratitude and light for all of the people on the front lines. I feel it. I feel the love. I feel the light from all of you. I love this community. I love our music. I love the connection. And without further ado, I will turn this over to Dean and Oteil for our father friend episode. Talking about some of our favorite people who've inspired us and our music in this community. And boys, take it away.
Okay. Sorry, my kid's gonna come in and scream right now. Hold on 1 second.
So we'll be covering this. A couple of things that I've written. We're going to honor Robert Hunter and something for Jerry Garcia, some original
We
quotes.
just started.
The thing about this whole deal is I got two kids too. I'm just a little bit ahead of Oteil's the stage of the game with their ages. So I'm patient as a motherfucker with stuff. Oh, as a person can be with stuff like this. And we got it all together now. You have total peace, Oteil. Do you need another breath, maybe?
We're just going. I don't know what happened, but I heard the screaming stop, so I unmuted my mic.
Oh, that's good stuff. We're on. So we're going to honor Robert Hunter and Jerry Garcia to the best of our ability as we spend some time with you all here. Let's get it started. This is an ode to Robert Hunter. Your pen has graced the pages of our lives in every way. You reached inside and spoke of things we hide from day to day. You saw inside the insides of our lives and hearts and souls, where many powers, great and small, all fight for the controls. A mighty ship has mighty parts and many can't be seen. You have been the rudder in the days that lied between. Your hands have crafted many parts that led us out to sea. Stormy nights and sunny days, I know you spoke for me. Oftentimes the hunter may get captured by the game. The one that captured all of it has Hunter as his name. You painted pictures of our future with oils from the past. Your mind connected somehow to the one thing built to last. You wrote about tomorrow like it happened yesterday. You found a way to speak the words we all would love to say. The soundtrack of my life took flight before I came to hear it. The words I'd need in years to come delivered through your spirit. There's no way we could measure what you've brought throughout the years. Many million smiles, I know, and just as many tears. I'm sure that you've been honored more than many on the earth. I wonder if you knew at all what your treasures were. If you did, I wonder if you'd care for it at all. I know you've seen the rising tides. I know you've seen it fall. With every step along the path, your lyric led the way, as valid 50 years ago as they are this very day. There were those that baked the bread and others that will eat it. You brought the flour and the glory fell on those who got to need it. You found the words that gave a man the tools to make them stick. With all the power and dynamite, it's nothing without the wick. The spark that came from up above, the wick that caught the spark. You took us to the light until you brought us in the dark. I often sit and wonder what it's like inside your mind, the man who grabbed the future from so many years behind. That was beautiful, man. Beautiful. That worked out just fine. Just fine. Big props for Oteil on piano. Look out, Jeff. We might get some
Can you guys hear?
duos.
Can you guys hear the piano underneath the voice?
That was just exactly perfect.
She sounds like Weir.
So that was an ode to Robert Hunter that Dean wrote. And then he's got another ode that we're going to do. So he has another poem coming up. And thank you, Margot. Thank you for everyone who's commenting that they're enjoying this, as are we. And for those of you that didn't know, Oteil is a multi-instrumentalist. So he's doing some new things on the piano that he was talking about. So that was really beautiful. And now he's going to do some stuff on the banjo. So I thought that was really interesting when Dean told me he was going to play the banjo, because first of all, I didn't know that he played the banjo, which is awesome. And it brought me to thinking about Jerry and Jerry's banjo, and Jerry and Robert back in Old and in the Way, and what they used to say. So I found this really funny quote that I just wanted to read to you, that Robert said when he was interviewed about the Wildwood Boys. So he says, "I always wondered why the Wildwood Boys got written out of local bluegrass history. The fact that we may have sucked is irrelevant. We were right there as the beginning as far as Palo Alto is concerned. We drew well and had a following, and I thought we were worthy." So I just think that was funny about their original friendship. And, David Nelson comes into the mix, and there's so much history and legacy with Jerry and the banjo. I'll show some great photos later about what he says about the banjo and his influences with Earl Scruggs and all of these great things. But it's really fantastic. So, Oteil, I'm looking forward to this treat and something new for you and Dean. So without any further ado, what are you doing next, Dean? What do we have to what ode do we have the pleasure?
Piece is going to be a piece that was, I think I wrote this quite some time ago for Jerry Garcia. This was Looking for the Silver Line, and we did this to kick off out of Jerry Week, maybe in 2015 or something like that. I think I might have written it back then. So this one, a little bit of posted every year during Jerry Week. We're going to unroll it here with Oteil on banjo. I'm excited to have Oteil on banjo.
Have you ever played the banjo live, Oteil? Would we find any footage? Like, do you do that often? Why do I not?
I did it once in Asheville, this little teeny club. Actually, I think it was in Brevard, North Carolina, with this drummer Jeff Sipe and a trio he had. And this was for a long, long time ago, probably 7 years ago. This is like exactly the second time.
That's fantastic. Well, I think what's great is all these artists are talking about how now that they're at home for longer periods of time than they've been at home forever, they're breaking out new instruments and learning new things and trying to be creative and expand their own, thing. So it's nice to see that everyone is have you found that you're kind of coming back to new things and trying to spend your time,
Well, everybody was doing these solo sets, and I've never done a solo set, and I really didn't want to accompany myself on bass guitar. And we bought an upright piano a few months ago, so I thought, well, maybe I could sing and accompany myself on piano. And so I've been working on that. That's like my new thing, learning the piano better, and But I really don't have a lot of time for stuff, as you can see, because my kids, 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, it's a tough age for.
Listen, we only got 12 or 13 more years left, and then it's going to get easier, Oteil.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to all the parents out there, by the way, who have their kids at home. And I want a nap for all of you. And I was telling Oteil earlier, Dean, that my niece is 7.5 and very high strung. And, my brother's a single father, and I think he was losing his mind. So in keeping with losing his mind, he rearranged his living room and bought a trampoline. And not like a tiny trampoline, like a real, trampoline. So now I guess when she is overactive, he just sends her to the trampoline and she jumps herself. So for any of you that are at home and are wondering what to do if you have room, apparently the trampoline is a fantastic solution. And also what's a great solution is I really appreciate you guys spending some time with us today. So without further ado, here is something dedicated to Jerry with words from Dean and Oteil debut on the banjo.
Nice.
Fantastic.
That's exciting. This one we officially have not practiced at all. So this is ultimate in improv. I'm certain it's going to work just lovely. And as soon as you're ready, Oteil, we'll take it away.
Oh. I used to always get on banjo players and guitar players for tuning so much, but they were right.
Been looking for the silver lining, but this one seems all right. Nothing's been the same since the night you went away. The storyteller makes no choice, that's what you always said. It's funny that we all found life amongst the Grateful Dead. The wrinkled eyes of heaven know this day as if by heart. The lost through years of mourning have torn our world apart. You're the one that brought the treasure and grabbed magic from the air. Everyone craved the golden eggs, but the goose left them there. The blistered hands of time still turn the crank that runs the wheel. The cards all come back empty every time we get the deal. Mercy wrote a letter sent to death by standard mail. The message came back, sorry, but no mercy is for sale. My face is calloused from the salted water my eyes have shed, trying to recapture moments from the memories in my head. I can't believe so many have passed since your graduation day. Still broken vans with broken plans, like dogs that went astray. Another summer passes by, another winter near, and there remains the lullaby our ears still long to hear. Your sound is irreplaceable, yet we try to turn the page, where softly grows the silent fire that leads to tears of rage. Days are still found dazing in the days that lie between. Thoughts churn in our minds, yet we can't figure out what they mean. To hear a few more notes from you would cure this inward drought. In the spaces between each and every one, we figured the whole thing out. My thoughts and days are like the style of playing you were using, when moments of intense clarity seem to arise from complete confusion. In my head, I see your frame, your chin pinned to your chest, like you're looking into your own heart and pulling out what's best. I vividly hear the music build like champagne when you shake it. You took your time getting to the mic. We all wondered if you'd make it. But just as springtime turns to heat and heat then turns to cold, the only place we find silver now is where there once was gold. The thoughts of you that never die and no replacement near, we celebrate the life you gave to all of us every year. Your soulful sound, a terrapin, the mission in the rain, we'll cherish what you gave us, Jerry, until we meet again. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful experience. You'd have think that we were rehearsing for a long time.
Okay.
It was painstaking, the rehearsal time.
Okay, so Dean is now making fun of me because, you know, as the producer of the show, I was like, hey, are we on? Hey, you got time for a sound check? Hey, and he's like, yeah, Sunday morning sounds good. We'll figure it out. So, Oteil, did that feel, I mean, that was really cool. I almost want to have you just sit there and play the banjo. That was great. For real, like that's been your instrument forever. I can't wait to see you do more of that as you're playing sometime. Speaking of the banjo, I was going to learn to play the banjo because, David Nelson, I do some stuff with the David Nelson band. And there's a story, I play 90 seconds of Friend of the Devil, but it's the best 90 seconds of Friend of the Devil you've ever heard because I wanted to learn that to play for David. Because what a lot of people don't know is he actually wrote that particular riff. So it's really special. And it's like, it's really just a chord. Yeah. So they tell the story about how they were practicing the song. Robert and Jerry were at home and then David came over and just started tuning and Robert heard him tuning and all of a sudden was like, do that again. And then they put that into the song. So David tells the story all the time on the road, which is pretty funny. So
Nice.
Normally we close out the episode with a sing-along, which we're going to do today through a video since none of us are necessarily ready to sing. And then maybe Oteil, when he's doing piano work, will be treated to that at some point in the distant future, as he said earlier. But one of my favorite quotes from Jerry that I just want to share with everybody is he said, "You need music. I don't know why. It's probably one of those Joseph Campbell questions, why we need ritual. We need magic and bliss and power and myth and celebration and religion in our lives, and music is a good way to encapsulate a lot of it." And I think when you think of the words of Jerry, and I know for me and probably many of you, that's what really built this incredible community of music. And when you think about the legacy of the Grateful Dead in hundreds of years, when all of us have gone on to our next journey, you can't take away the community. You can't, Oteil, you can't see it. Everyone is commenting, more banjo, more banjo, more banjo. Maybe we will see more banjo. But, I really love how the community and the music and the arts really do encapsulate all of these things that we need and that touch our lives and that build community and keep us together. So that was really okay. He's not playing any more banjo. We could all beg him, but I'm pretty sure.
Everybody throw your bras at the screen. Throw your bras at the screen.
But,
no one's wearing bras. We're on quarantine.
See, Dean is a poet no matter
get
what.
Get him from the drawer. Take him from your bra drawer. Throw him at the screen.
That would be that's a whole different program Dean and I will be creating. Another episode of Verse and Vibe. Everyone wants to let Dean sing. I am not going to allow that.
I'm a singing ass motherfucker. I can sing, but I'm not.
All right, what do you got, Dean? Let's see. Does everyone want to hear? No, everyone wants more banjo. Not
like
Dean.
Mayor. A falsetto it like Mayor and sing "Hopelessly Devoted to You."
Hopelessly devoted. So again, if you enjoyed this, please feel free to visit Positive Legacy. They've been doing great work for a long, long time, all with jam crews and different bands and big events. So I'm sure you've heard of them before. They have a new COVID-19 fund, which they're just trying to build and get started. So if you're so inclined, I put the link in the comments. Please do visit. There's a lot of organizations doing great work, so support whoever you can and your artists and virtual tip jars. We have a bunch of really awesome episodes coming up on Verse and Vibe. Like I said, we're celebrating the poetry of the Beat Poets with Ann Cohen and Tom Constantin. Ann will be reading the work of her husband, Alan Cohen. We've got an episode celebrating Mother's Day. We've got an episode celebrating the poetry of the Black Panthers with some special guests. So this whole series is really about bringing music and community and giving artists a chance to do something new. Like, Oteil, that was great to see you on the piano and the banjo. And Dean is a fantastic writer. If you don't follow his blog, you totally should. If you're not friends with him on Facebook, you definitely want to be, because he is super funny and really great and keeps us connected. And it's just such a pleasure to host this series. Dean was making fun of me earlier. I'm like, yeah, it's a day that I get to shower and do my hair, and maybe
hair looks amazing. Everybody, it was like the Real Housewives of California or something. Someone came to the house to do the hair.
I have to say, Dean, this is the longest I've seen your hair ever.
I'm gonna grow it out, man. I think I'm gonna grow it back out.
You need to throw up some of those old pictures, dude. Let's see some of those. Oh, there's some real gems in there. Dean with long hair. It's awesome.
Yeah, some of his deadhead photos.
Just looking at the pictures.
So we're going to get ready to wrap up the episode in a few minutes, like I said, with a sing-along. It's really great. If you don't mind, I love watching the real authentic friendship that the two of you have developed. I feel like you guys have known each other for decades, but you met recently, right? Like you only met since did you meet from Dead and Company? Did you guys meet in a different way? But it feels like you guys have been friends for life.
It feels that way, right? We've been through a lot of
it.
stuff together. That was cool. There go Nigel. Move on the scooter in the background.
He's got a mouthful of chicken nuggets.
So how did you guys kind of meet? And like I said, your friendship just feels so authentic. Like you guys have known each other forever. Hi,
He
Nigel.
said it was ice. He can't hear you guys because I got the earbuds in.
Hi, Nigel.
But it was. They're saying hi, Nigel. But yeah, a friend of mine, Tracy Thaler, who's now a friend. I didn't know her at the time, but I think it's my first show I was going out to. I ran into her at the airport, and she just came up to me. She was like, "Hey, I'm a fan," and blah blah blah, and we talked, and she just had such a good vibe, and I ended up giving her my phone number. My wife was like, "Are you nuts? You give somebody at the airport your phone number?" I was like, "I just have a good vibe about this lady." She's become such a dear friend. And I mentioned Dean's name to her because we were talking about just me being new to the Grateful Dead family. I've been on the scene for a long time with the Allman Brothers, but specifically in the Grateful Dead family, I was new. And I said, I got turned on to this guy, Grateful Dean, because I wanted to know more of what the fans were thinking than just like reading reviews from newspapers and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, we know him. We're in a group with him, sweetie. Oh, you scraped yourself. You were getting wild out there, weren't you?" So she goes, "Yeah, I know him. Would you like to meet him?" I was like, "Heck yeah, I want to meet him. Are you kidding?" And not long after, I think I met David Bader that same time at the airport. And we've all been like super tight friends, ever since.
It was effortless, right? Sometimes you just meet people. It's like you've been hanging out your whole life. We really didn't have to try that hard to do anything. Yeah. Everything just kind of, you know how it is. This is serendipitous life of Grateful Dead family. Shit just happens, and the next thing you know, we're having breakfast in Chicago.
And my wife and
we were having cornbread and beans.
Yeah,
we were having cornbread and beans at Sylvia's.
Yeah, we're all really tight friends now. Tracy sent us a bunch of clothes for Kabi and presents for Nigel and all this stuff. Tracy let us stay at her house during the hurricane when we evac out here for the hurricane. So we've become like really tight friends. We've become family. It's been great from day one.
We don't fuck around. We don't waste time.
Well, forget what the two of you are describing is what happens all over our community. Because when you meet people, it's like all of a sudden now, just from going to shows and from being involved, you have friends in every state. You have a couch in every state. And it's what I think is interesting about the way that this music has created community is, sometimes you meet people and they're like, "Yeah, call me if you're in town." And, they might kind of mean it, but our community means it. And they step up constantly for each other. And it's real and it's deep and it's just fucking beautiful. So I am so grateful for all of the different friendships. I can count thousands of people that really would have my back and vice versa. That if I didn't talk to them in 5 years, but they knocked on my door and said, "I need a couch," I'd be like, "Come on in. Here's a pre-roll. Let's do it. What can I get you?" So the hospitality that we have created in this community is just unbelievable. So shout out to all of us for really being open and connected and, following our hearts and living our hearts. And thanks to all the music and the forefronters, and Bobby and Mickey and Billy and Jerry and Brent and, sacrificing and traveling and doing thousands and thousands of shows and really giving us this vehicle to create these connections we all have. It's just gorgeous and deep. All right, and a shout out to all these friendships. So if you have a friend that you met through tour, give them a shout out, say hello, comment in the Facebook page about your crew. I firmly believe that your vibe attracts your tribe, and I could not think of a better tribe to be a part of. Love
and
you
I'd
guys.
like to say shout out to all the single parents. Good Lord. I mean, me and Jess are at home together, and it's just so much. And we have a backyard and a pool and all that. And I just think, man, single parents out there, especially in apartments and stuff with kids that can't go to the park, it's mind blowing. The capes that need to be passed out, are plentiful.
Amen to that. I think about them too. I don't have kids, and I see the struggles, and I try to share all these different things online, all these suggestions that come up of activities to do at home and companies that are trying to focus on supporting single parents with different things online and tools. So I try to share as much of that as possible. It's great for those of you, all of my single friends that don't have kids. If you see something come across Facebook that seems viable, go ahead and share it, even if you don't have kids, because a lot of your friends do. And there's some really fun, helpful tips and tricks that have been coming up that aren't like, crazy random things. I don't necessarily know if I recommend buying a trampoline, but there's some other fun things to do on Zoom and with coloring and all these different musical sing-along things. So if we all keep sharing, hopefully we can keep supporting each other and all of the parents out there. And again, we're getting to that point of the show where we have our sing-along. So the way the sing-along works is I'm going to share my screen and play some audio that then someone's going to send me a notice that I wasn't supposed to play, but that's okay once we've all sung it together. It's fantastic. So we're going to mute our mics so no one wants to hear us sing. And then you at home, all of you will know the words. Just kind of sing along with us. And feel free to drop off the broadcast during the sing-along or stick around to the end. At the end of the sing-along, we'll chat for a few more minutes. I have some pictures to show of Jerry and Robert and John Perry Barlow and some great history that I'll put on the screen. But right now, I thought we could sing a little Friend of the Devil, which was inspired by the banjo. So this is going to be from Winterland, 12/31/1978. And I'm going to share my screen and let's sing along a little bit, shall we?
When I first saw this product, I thought it looked kind of
Skip
crazy.
the commercial in a
Didn't
few
really
seconds.
understand what the benefits would be.
Oh my
but,
God!
I had seen some
What
before and
is-
after pictures.
People make the weirdest inventions. And let me know, everyone, if you can hear the music starting. Dean has left the building. Does everyone hear the music?
He's here. He's just muted his screen, I guess.
Oh, does everyone hear the music? Please comment if you can hear. Great. So, of course, I can't hear it, so I don't know how I'm supposed to sing along because it's broadcasting in the studio. So everyone at home, let's sing along. Friend of the Devil, 12/31/1978 from Winterland. And we'll be right back.
Wow, I never heard this version.
I know you should never pause a friend of the devil in the middle of it, but I picked a 9-minute friend of the devil, like a 20-minute Dark Star. Sorry about that. So here's the link to finish watching the entire video. But just seeing Jerry smile and hearing them play and watching the connection is just beautiful, even if you only get a little glimpse of it. So sorry to interrupt.
I've never heard that version.
Yeah.
It's super slow, like almost a reggae. That's super cool.
Yeah, so I put the link in the comments, but not to plug someone, but like Music Vault, even though people don't love them and they're kind of like a little weird, they've got a lot of really fantastic archival footage that they acquired really early, and there's some incredible shows and some incredible versions of songs. They've got some of the original footage of Mickey doing "Fire on the Mountain" as a rap is up there on YouTube, and that's really
wonderful. I can't wait to hear that.
It's really cool, Dean. So let's not even start this conversation. We don't have enough time to go through the whole thing. But we love you long time.
Not for him, though.
Again, thank you guys so much for coming. Dean, Oteil, I really appreciate your time. Dean, I love you long time. I appreciate you reaching out and be willing to do this. So keep in. Oh my God. Keep tuning in, keep staying connected, keep supporting your artists and your friends and your family. And while, a lot has changed around us, a lot doesn't have to change. Like our love for each other and our kindness for each other and our care for each other and our beautiful planet, and all of those things. So with that, we love it. This has been another episode of Verse and Vibe. Let's see what you got, Dean, Oteil. Verse and Vibe. Verse and Vibe. And we love you all. Long time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.